Hello, hello. Welcome to the Skeins of Dreams Knitting Podcast. I'm Megha. I'm also known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram and on Ravelry. This is the channel where I usually come and talk all about my knitting and my making journey with all of you. Thank you so much for checking out my video. If you're new here, and if you're a returning viewer, of course, thank you so much. I feel like it has been a while since I did like a proper introduction, so maybe I'll do one now. As I said, I'm Megha. I live in Pittsburgh in the United States of America. I live here with 2 cats and 1 husband. My day job, I'm an engineer by profession, and my expertise is in iron and steel making technology. So I do engineering and intellectual property related work for iron and steel industries and for my employer. So yeah, I have been knitting for about, I want to say 8-9 years now. I taught myself over YouTube. And yeah, I've never looked back since. I used to live in Buffalo, and the first year I moved to the new city, I didn't have any friends, and it was really cold in the winters, and I kind of had to find something to do. And I always had a bit of a crafty personality since I was a child, but I had given up quite a bit of it, when you're in high school and in university where there's a lot of studying to be done. So I finally had weekends free, so then I wanted to pick up something to keep me company over the weekends, and then I found knitting, and then I found Ravelry, and I haven't looked back since. I also sew, I quilt, I like to cook. I recently bought a paint by numbers kit, so that should be fun to do. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beverage of choice and whatever you're working on while you watch this video. So the last time I don't even remember what I did last episode. I do know that I have a finished object to share with you, which was a WIP in my last video. And now that I'm looking at it, I have promptly forgotten its name. So it's from this book, which is the Neons and Neutrals book, which is kind of curated by Amy from La Bien-Aimée. And the sweater I made is the Darta. That's the sweater, and I made this in a wonderful blue and red combination. It's not so much blue, it's like a bluish purple. So for my main colors, I held together Holst Super Soft in the Cloudberry color with Isair Alpaca 1, I think, and that was in the indigo color. So that is the fabric it has created. And this contrast red Mohair is by Pigment and Ply, and I will not remember the name of the colorway. I had this skein of Mohair which I really liked, and I was into this blue and red combo, so I thought like I should try this. It turned out to be a lovely sweater. It fits me really well. As you can see, this is the reverse stockinette side. I didn't purl throughout the sweater. I worked, even though the instructions don't tell you to do that, I worked on the wrong side, so that's the stockinette side, and then I just turned it around. So I made sure all my ends were on the stockinette side or on the knit side, and the purl side was cleaner, so that helped. It has beautiful twisted rib details on the cuff, the neck, and I love twisted rib. It's so much fun to do, and it looks really cute. I feel like the camera is a bit too far, so maybe I'm gonna move it closer. All right, this is better. I also forgot to mention in my introduction that featured today is a huge pimple on my face because I overindulged in sugar over the past few days, so yay. Okay, so this is my Darta from the Neons and Neutrals book. I really like how it, looks. I was concerned about the ruffles making my bust look bigger than it already is. And to counter that, by the way, the designer is Ines Sung. I love a lot of her designs. She makes the most stunning shawls. And I really wanted to knit something from her, and I thought this sweater was like kind of in my wheelhouse, but also like a new thing for me because I had not done embellishments like this before. So I did pick up half the stitches that she asks you to. For example, if she says pick up every single stitch for like 60 stitches or whatever, I don't remember the number. I didn't pick up every single stitch for the mohair. I picked up every other stitch. So the ruffles are actually less dense. And I'm very happy with the choice. I do think it still gives the same effect. You still get the ruffle, and then it's not as bulky as it could have been if I had picked up the number of stitches that you're asked to. I also did like a decreasing thing, like a staggered or whatever, a V effect, not picking up the same amount of ruffles on all of the columns. I kind of did like decrease them as they go to the side. I feel like that was a more flattering look based on other projects that I had looked at. And I'm happy with that decision as well. However, since I finished it, I haven't picked up this sweater as much to wear. I feel like while I thought that I could knit something out of comfort zone for me, I usually go for very classic looks. And to work, I don't want to wear something like this. I don't know, I just feel out of place. I'm sure it's perfectly fine at work. No one's gonna, think otherwise. I've seen people wear a lot of nice stuff and different things, and no one's gonna judge me or anything, but I don't know, I've not gravitated to picking it as something to wear. I feel like if I wear it once, that'll just break the barrier for me and I'll be able to wear it multiple times. But I don't know, it hasn't happened yet. Also, it's holstered, so it's warm. I wouldn't say it's very warm. I like that it's got the open neck, which works best for me. So hopefully next winter I will pick it up. I mean, worst case scenario, I can always unpick all the mohair, but I don't want to do that. The whole point of this sweater is the mohair ruffles, so I'll get over my stupidity soon enough, I'm sure. It's become too warm now. It's like almost spring weather here. There's no way I can wear this sweater, so I'm hoping next season I will wear it. I should wear it. So yeah, so that is my finished object from January, I don't know, the 17th or something. Since then, I haven't finished a lot. Like I've been casting on everything possible and working on nothing. So that's what's been going on here. But yeah, that was the first thing I want to talk about. I actually do have a sewing finished object, so let me just quickly go grab it. I thought of doing the knitting separately and the sewing, but I have so many WIPs to talk about, I'll forget about the sewing. So let me go grab the finished object. So I made the Elodie dress, Elodie wrap dress, and I'm thinking it's by Chalk and Notch. Is it? I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen here. So this is the wrap dress that I made. This was the first version of it. I decided to make it in this linen viscose blend that I bought from Joanne. It was a very fun make. I really love the details. It doesn't have bust darts, but it has these gathers at the waistline to create the same effect for the bust. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. It was the first version. I didn't make any modifications per se. I wanted to see how it fits me, and then the next version I will change things based on what I like. So the one thing I would say is I'm not sure I like that I did it on a plain fabric. While it looks really nice, to me, as the person who made it, I can see all the little things, you know, that in wrap dresses, I know the waistband never actually sits on, the belts don't always sit properly straight on top of your waistband, and it looks untidy, and that bugs me. And then I can see the little mistakes I made, though they're not visible if you wear it. I'm gonna put a video of me like moving around in it so you can see how it looks. Overall, it made a wonderful dress. I can wear it like, you know, over weekends if we go out for dinner or something like that. So it does look good. I'm gonna put a snap at the to keep the two layers here closed. I currently don't have a snap here, but I'm gonna put a snap here to just like hold this in place. And I've ordered like clear snaps. I didn't have a clear one, and I didn't want to use something else, and I wanted a sew-in one. I didn't want the press-ons because I feel like the press-on would, the layer of fabric is too thick, and I just didn't want it to stress out the fabric around the press-on ones. So I bought the sew-in ones, and I'm gonna wear it and mark where it needs to be so that it doesn't look too odd, and I don't force it to close at a point where it wouldn't naturally be. So yeah, I really like the final garment. The wrap is pretty nice. I picked a size. I think the size I picked was perfect. I think I could go with a bigger bodice so that there's more fabric on the top, but I'm afraid if I do that, it'll look just a bit too, like, it won't, because I picked my measurements properly. There's less ease around my hips because if I go by my bust measurement, the hip given is 3 inches. The hip measurement by the standard chart is 3 inches less than what my hip is. I'm pretty pear-shaped. So anyway, I picked the size by my bust measurement, and there's less ease at the hip, but I don't mind that. I prefer less bulk around my hip because it's the widest part of me. So anyway, but yeah, overall, I really like the dress. I'm very happy with it. I'm very proud of myself for actually finishing. And little details, like I had to tack in the waistband on the inside, and I did it, like I hand sewed it, and you can see it here. It's not like the neatest, my hand stitching needs work, but I'm very happy with what I did. So yeah, so that is the Elodie wrap dress, and I hope I've shared videos of me twirling around in it, but I'm gonna count this as a finished object because it literally is, and I'll take all the wins that I can get. Okay, we'll go back to the regularly scheduled whatever. I'll come back with my WIPS. All right, shall we begin the WIP parade? I'm nervous. I don't know how long this video is going to be. All right, let me start with the one that I worked on quite a bit during the time I was extremely stressed out, like I mentioned before. And that's my half and half wrap. I think there was a week where I didn't work on any other project but my half and half wrap. So now I'm no longer in that situation. So I'm working on it maybe like 2 or 3 hours a week. But I've made substantial progress that if I consistently work on it, it'll be done in a few months, at least a month or two. I mean, I'm not in a hurry because I don't use it as a shawl. It's the summer. It'll be for next season. I use it as a lap blanket on the couch, which we have a few already. So it's not like I super urgently need this. But this is my half and half wrap. That's the first. And this is the second half of the wrap. I don't know if you can see, but this portion is actually a pink and green striped, like a single stripe. And then this is a gray and a deeper pink. So 3 colors on this, the pink, the chartreusey green, and the gray were gifted to me by Pearl Soho for a Steven West MCAL actually. I never ended up finishing the MCAL. It was the one with, I don't know what it's called. It's the one that looked like a superhero thingy. It had those braids on it. I started it, but I quickly realized that Steven West MCALs are not my jam. So I quit working on that. And then I decided that since Pearl Soho gifted it to me and I love the half and half triangles wrap, I should just make another half and half triangles wrap. So that's what I ended up doing. And I started this. It's been a while since I got, and the only color that I put in from my own stash is this rhubarb. Oh, so the 3 colors, the pink, the green, and the gray are Pearl Soho quads. They are an alpaca and wool, that's an alpaca and wool mix base. I think it's a fingering weight, very soft, very, very lovely to work with. And I like the drape on it as well. And this deep pink is actually the rhubarb pink in the linen quill line. And I had it in stash and I decided I'm going to just like do this. I hope the colors are not blown out just because I'm sitting in a much brighter spot. I thought the lighting would be nicer here, but we'll see how the how the video. I mean, I'm sure I look fine thanks to all the melanin, but I'm not sure the colors are it's fine. I don't care. So yeah, so this is what I'm working on and slowly chipping away on the second half of the half and half triangles. But I worked on this so much. It was insane. Like I couldn't work on anything else. And garter kept me very happy. So I feel like I always need a garter project. Just something I can, you know, like mindlessly work on. Whatever happens in my life. So yeah, so that was the first work in progress. The second work in progress is so I think it was around Valentine's Day. Like I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, but my neighbor had a Galentine's event at her house the day before, so on the 13th of February, and she asked that all of us wear pinks, and I was like, oh yeah, I have pink. I mean, I'm wearing something now, but this is more of a millennial pink. Like I didn't have anything true pink, and I was really shocked by the fact that I don't have a garment that's true pink. So I guess that was enough for me to decide that I needed to cast on something pink, and so here is something I started. I guess this isn't true pink. I mean, this would be true pink. I don't know what true pink is. Pink has a lot of shades. So anyway, I started an Ankers sweater. This is a design by Petite Knit. I'm sure all of you already know about this. I knit another Ankers in December. While I love the fit of the sweater, that yarn pilled quite a bit. So I decided that I'd knit a second one. And this is a beautiful version that I'm holding, like a fingering with Mohair. So the yarn is actually La Bien-Aimé's Twist Nouveau in the color Nadia. Amy from La Bien-Aimé does a lot of collabs with a designer whose first name is Nadia, second name I cannot pronounce for the life of me, but she goes by NCL Knits on Ravelry and Instagram, and she loves pink, and I think they had a collab, and Amy named one of the colors after her, and this was so in my, like, so my jam, basically, because it has it's pink and it has yellow and bright pink speckles, and I absolutely fell in love. It's been a while since I bought this yarn. I have like 3 skeins of the fingering. This is a non-superwash fingering base. I love the base as well. It has a high twist on it, so it feels very nice to work with. And then I have this Knitting for Olive pure silk, soft silk mohair in the plum rose color. So I decided that I would hold these two together, and I'm so happy I did that because it brings out a deeper shade of pink, and while also showing all the little speckles. And I always like a subtly speckled garment, so I'm happy with that. I hope you can see the colors in that, but yeah. So I started at Ankers, and I made a lot of progress. I started it after Valentine's Day, so, oh no, I lost stitches. So yeah, I started it after Valentine's Day, I think the weekend, and today is March 3rd. So I did make a substantial amount of progress on this, and it's slow progress because I'm working on all of my WIPS at the same time. Like, I work on this one day, maybe I work on it like a couple of hours a day, and then the next day I don't touch it and I work on something else. So I'm like all over the place. If you're overwhelmed by a lot of WIPS, I'm sorry. I should have warned you that this might not be the video for you. But I'm okay with it. I went through a phase where I was getting overwhelmed by a lot of WIPS, but right now I'm like, I will work on whatever makes me happy, and it's my crafting. And like Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit says, I will cast on if I want to. So the next work in progress, I wanted a fluffy sweater, basically. That was my motivation. So I had this Holst Cielo that I had purchased from Holst's website a while ago. I think around the time, I always get influenced, right? So around the time Rebecca was knitting on a purple cardigan, Rebecca Clow of the Crea Bea podcast. So when she was knitting on her purple Holst Cielo cardigan, I purchased this charcoal gray color from Holst, and I am knitting a Turtle Dove 2. This is a pattern by Melissa Kulo. So as I was saying, this is designed by Melissa Kulo, who was with Espace Tricot when the design came out, but now she's with Sonder yarn company. And so this is the Turtle Dove 2. I always want like oversized, like very cozy sweater, but I let my brain take over, and then the moment I meet the yoke length and the required stitches, I feel like, oh, this is it, I should just like split for sleeves now. So I'm like turning my brain off and just working on the pattern as suggested, so that I get the ease that I always desire but never end up making. But this is the Holst Cielo yarn. It's very fluffy, but it's still quite sturdy, and I'm knitting it on US 9 needles. So I think US 9 is 5.5 millimeters. I don't know. Yes, it is. So yeah, so this is the WIP. I have not split for sleeves yet. I think I've kind of given up working on it. I was working on it for like 3 days continuously, and it gave my hand, my hand was hurting. It happens to me when I work on larger needle sizes for too long, so I decided to, let me switch and cast on another thing. Like, that's what I do, right? So, okay. The next work in progress is actually a, oops, sorry about that, is actually a test knit. I decided I was trying not to sign up for test knits, but then Beth McDonald Stone came out with a test knit for her Bermy Basic sweater line. So Beth is coming up with these basic simple yoke sweaters in all the gauges that you can think of, and this is like a massive undertaking. She has multiple tests running for combinations of gauges. Like, I think the test knit call I responded to was for gauge 14 stitches in 4 inches and 20 stitches in 4 inches. So I picked the 20 stitches in 4-inch gauge, and I decided to stripe my basic sweater. Beth is being very nice and asking us to make whatever modifications we want to. So I decided to stripe my sweater. So this is what I've been working on, and I am so much in love with this. I feel like striped sweaters get done so quickly because you're always looking to move on to the next color. This yarn is actually a Woolens by Barrett Wool Co. And it's a sport weight yarn. I'm knitting it on US 3 needle size. I'm a loose knitter, so my needle sizes are pretty much smaller than what is needed, what is recommended by the designer. So if I remember the colors correctly, this is October Road, then you have Putty, then you have Old Fashioned, this is Garnet, it's like a olivey green, and this pink is Thulia. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but those are my 5 colors essentially. And I mean, I sometimes love it, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is nice, but I'm going with it. I had purchased this set of colors a while ago with the idea of a striped sweater, but it never got done. And I had already gauge swatched, so I knew I'd get a 20 stitch gauge on this needle size with this yarn. And then as soon as Beth said about a basic sweater and you can do whatever, and I was like, how about I just use my striped yarn idea and just follow Beth's pattern anyways. So that's what's happening. It's a very simple yoke sweater. The stripes is what is obviously super interesting also to me, but yeah, I'm making substantial progress on this as well. I feel like this needs to get done first because it's obviously a test knit. The Bermy Basic line has already been released in, say, gauge 18 and gauge 24, or combinations of those. So this one is gauge 20 and gauge 14. I have to check if she's releasing 2 gauges as a single pattern or is it separate patterns. I feel like I watched her video and she said something about that, but I'm completely blanking on it. But anyway, so that's my Bermy Basic test knit. That's the only test knit, by the way. I'm very happy with that. Okay, I think I'm gonna talk about this first before I talk about the last WIP, because that one has a lot to mention. So my dear friend Casey from the Young Folk Knits podcast is holding a Pohjola knit along with Sari Nordland, and the cast on day was yesterday, and I promptly cast on for this knit along. I knew, I had insider information, and I knew that March 1st was going to be cast on date. So I had my colors picked out, I had everything done, but I was supposed to leave my needles empty so I could participate in the knit along, which I promptly failed at doing. But anyway, I still cast on yesterday. It's a tiny thing right now, but this is the beginning of my Pohjola Sweater by Sari Nordland. I don't know if you can even see anything. I am doing 3 color work for the first time, and she has you pearl, so she's adding texture to the 3 color work as well. I love this sweater, how it looks finally. I mean, Sari, I don't know how Sari comes up with all these designs so quickly and so beautiful they all are. So these are my colors. This is the contrast color 1. This rust is going to be my main color, and this green is contrast color 2. These are all drops Nord. I think Ivana from the Republic of Me podcast mentioned drops Nord and how much she likes it, and I bought a bunch of it. This is back in October last year. So it's a 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool blend. Fingering weight pretty much, and I really like it. It's very soft, and I love these colors too. So I started the Pohjola, and I'm excited. I was missing color work, so now I have a color work whip. There isn't too much to mention, so this is all good. And I'm holding this in a cute little, I never talk about my bags, but this is a cute little bag. I think this is by Blueberry Fields. This is a bag maker based in Ottawa, somewhere in Canada, and I love their bags, and I've bought a few bags from them. So this is one of the ones that I had in this wintry, foxy theme. All right, now let's talk about my favorite work in progress of all time. I was seeing these cables everywhere pop up, mostly from Scandi knitters and in like these heavily cabled sweaters. And I kind of fell in love with the cables first. So that's how it happened. I fell in love with the cables, and then I decided I want a sweater with these cables to be the main attraction. But all the patterns that I could see online had these cables as one of the elements of the heavily cabled overall sweater. So I couldn't find something that had these as the main center attraction of the sweater. So I decided, why not just like make one myself? So what I did was, I have this wonderful book, which is the Vogue Knitting Stationery. How do I pronounce this? Stationery? I don't know, whatever. So I have this. So I should tell you, during COVID, Corinne from the Woolly Thistle yarn store here in the US had started this knitting buddy program, and you could sign up for it, and they would match you up with knitting buddies, and you could like knit over Zoom calls, like talk and just like share knitting info. So I met the wonderful ladies Liz and Michelle. Hi Liz, if you're watching. I know Michelle doesn't watch, I don't think she watches podcasts, but I haven't been speaking with Michelle. I haven't spoken to Michelle in a really long time, but Michelle was like downsizing her house, and she sent me so many things. She did like boxes arrived at my place with all these books and patterns and yarn of all kinds, and it was just insane how generously she just sent me all this stuff. And one of the gems in that package from Michelle was the 3 volumes of this Vogue Knitting books. And this is volume 2 cables. So I went into this to look for my basically to look for the, and this is the braid I found, and I decided to make my own bottom-up sweater basically, because this is worked bottom up, otherwise the look wouldn't come as you would like. So I decided to make a sweater of my own kind of design, but I'm adding all the features in it that I appreciate. So this is how it looks so far. You can see the center cables. They look like hearts to me, and that's basically why I fell in love with them. I don't know what it was, but I started kind of a drop shoulder. I did little details like I started with like the hemming. So I hate joining in the round when it's like a lot of stitches. So I cast on half the stitches and did like the ribbing for the back, half for the front, and I decided to make it a split hem. And so I did only like less ribbing for the front, obviously. I made the back rib longer, and then I had to do some math based on the stitch repeats required for these cables. And then the rest of the sweater, I didn't want it plain, so I did like a, I don't know if you can see, but it's like a very long cable. There is a cable, but it's the twist is happening every so often. And maybe this isn't the best. Let me see if I can find it in this book, the long cable. Oh, that's the first page I opened. So this is the long cable. So the stitch repeat is happening every so often, but not too quickly. And so it's giving the effect of a overall cabled fabric, but you don't have to cable too frequently, which is nice because these cables require cabling very frequently. Actually, they look more complicated than they actually are. It's just like a braid, like you know how you braid your hair, but what you do is you work the back and forth on like a column of stitches, and you hold them on one round. So the first round you just like work them back and forth and you hold them, and that's why I've put them on safety pins. Then on the second round you just twist them whichever way. So now they'll go this way because the previous one was that way. So anyway, so it's an easy ish cable, but it's very involved, as in like you have to do it frequently, and it's done over 2 rounds. I had no idea that you could do cables over 2 rounds. I'd never done something like that before, but I was committed enough that I was like, I'm gonna do this. And now I don't even have to look at the instructions for the cable anymore. So I just know it because it's actually quite simple. So yeah, so this is one of the WIPS that I'm working on, and the yarn is special to me as well. So Selma, Mel and I had gone to Knit City, Montreal, and those of you who have been here for a while, you would know that we did like a yarn swap. So Mel from Mel Makes Stuff podcast used to have yarn store. She was a hand dyer. I didn't know her back then, and I think her yarn line was called Vale Street Yarn, and she had this wonderful orange in her, like in that swap thing she got, and I absolutely fell in love with this. So it's a fingering weight, I want to say it's definitely less than 15% nylon. I don't know what the make is. It's not 25% nylon, but because it's quite lofty, so it's probably 15 or 10% nylon. I don't know. I think 15 sounds about right. I think 10% nylon is even loftier. But anyway, so this is the beautiful orange color that she had, and I took like 5 skeins of this from her. And I have this deep red Biche Bouche soft silk mohair in my stash. And Mel has a lot of videos where she does very interesting yarn combinations. And one of her videos, I remember, I think she made I want to say the Favo sweater, or it was called something like that. And she held, and multiple times she even made a Helga Iser cardigan where she held a mohair which was very different from the fingering. And she had given suggestion that the mohair, if it's darker than the fingering, that the cables pop in it. So I decided that I would hold these two together because I have them in stash and everything, and I would make a sweater out of it. And I love this. It looks like spicy cables to me. so that is what I'm working on. I don't have a name for this yet. It's not going to be a pattern. This is just something I'm working on. And my Ravelry page has some details on how I decided to, what the details I decided. So you can see this. This is a twist of the long cable. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this. I think it's going to be a drop shoulder with a wide-ish neckline or scoop neck because I like those. And I don't like mohair too close to my neck in the front. And I think for my sleeves, I might actually do this long cable and just like the long cable throughout. So it'll pretty much look like stockinette except for some little twists throughout the sleeves. I don't think I'm gonna put like this heart on the sleeves. That's funny. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna do the long cable on the sleeves. But yeah, so this is my another one of my works in progress, and I'm very, very happy with how it's turning out. I've only knit with the Knitting for Olive Mohair, and this is the first time I'm working with the Biche Bouche, and I must say I really like it. I don't know, I mean, once I wear it, I'll know if I like one over the other or how much they pill and everything, because the Knitting for Olive does pill, but I expect that the fluff will come out and everything. So anyway, that is, I guess, the last WIP I will share for today. I have a few others, but they were cast on and abandoned very promptly. And I also have some socks on the go, but I'm gonna talk about them once I finish them. I mean, I always knit vanilla socks, so what's there to talk about? I want to talk about 2 projects that I want to cast on, hopefully in the near future. Once I finish at least one of these things, because I don't know how many I talked about already. In my sudden realization that I lack true pink sweaters, I ended up purchasing some very, very pink yarn. So this is Fingering and Suri Silk Mohair by Ruby and Roses yarn. Oops. And the color is called Siesta, and it's so beautiful. And I bought this from an LYS. So I live close to the Moon and Yarn craft room in Pittsburgh, and I went to a sweater knitting workshop there on Feb 19th, which was Jen and Bess. Jen from JP Knits Things, who's a friend of mine, and her business partner Bess, who now have the One Wild Designs. I think that's what they're called. So they did a sweater knitting workshop at Moon and Yarn craft room, and I went there and I saw this pink yarn and I fell in love with it, and I asked, I bought it, and the owner Brianne, she's so wonderful, and she has decided to join our knit nights. I've been hosting knit nights in my house now. Not regularly, but like once in a while, and she came over and I had ordered this yarn from her. So I'm so happy with this pink, and I think this is going to be a Lento or something like that, just a plain raglan sweater, but I wanted something in bright pink. So yes, so that's that. And I think a couple videos ago I had talked about my plans for 2024 being that I wanted to knit from new to me designers, and one of the designers was Gudrun Johnston, and I was talking to Biljit about what sweaters would he like next. I think the last sweater I knit for him was in December. I made him the Dorney sweater, and the next one we decided is going to be a cardigan, and he liked this cardigan by Gudrun Johnston. I'm going to put a picture of here, called the Pascal, I don't know, the Pascal cardigan. It is a bottom-up steeged, a bit of color work around the chest, and kind of a shawl-ish collar. It's a really, really lovely design, and I ended up deciding, and I don't like to use very soft yarns for Biljit, because I've had a couple of bad experiences where woolen spun yarns have like disintegrated very quickly on him. So I decided to go with a commercial line. So I bought some Drops Nepal in this combination. Oops. This dark brownish red is going to be the main color, and these 3 colors will be the contrast. I've not decided in which one will be like the maximum contrast, like the main or the contrast color one or whatever. I have to decide that, but this is the color combination. in Drops, Nepal, and this is 65% wool and 35% alpaca, and it's pretty soft. He has very little tolerance for scratchy yarn, so I need something that's soft to touch but also sturdy, that it won't come apart easily. So yeah, so that is going to happen soon. I think I'm gonna make it during the summer so it's ready for next season. It's not gonna get done this season. It's already warm here. You can't wear a 16 stitch gauge cardigan. Nope, not happening. Yeah, so that was everything I wanted to talk about. I know there was a lot of works in progress, but I will slowly chip away at them. I have a lot of sewing mojo as well now, so I have cut out 2 different patterns. I've printed at least 4. I've got the patterns printed and I have fabric washed and ready to be cut. So there's going to be a lot of sewing that's going to happen this year. I don't want to end up buying a bunch of summer clothes. So before I feel like doing that, I am using the fabric that I have and sewing myself up some basic pieces that I can actually wear over the summer. And I have a lot of plans to make summer garments as well, but I think I'm going to try and finish a lot of these winter ones. I feel like the projects I cast on in January get abandoned the most because the moment the weather gets warm, I move on to summer knitting, and then when fall comes around, I'm no longer interested in the January project. So I think I should finish these ones that I have on the go now before I start knitting all my linen stuff. I have enough now that I actually have some clothes to wear that I made myself. So I think I should be able to curb that cast on excitement. I can't say that. You just saw what happened. So let's not call it cast on excitement. Summer cast on excitement. I have a few things that I can wear. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much if you stuck until the end while I shamelessly paraded all my works in progress. I'm hoping that I'm actually back on a regular podcasting schedule, but who knows. Today I had the mojo, so it got done. Thank you so much for being here. All right, before I ramble any further, stay safe, take care, and happy crafting. Until next time, bye.